السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بناء على رغبة ناس كتير جدا كلموني وقالوا لي ان مش محتاجين كل الشرح يكون بالانجليش، محتاجين شوية ندخل شوية عربي. فبناء على الرغبة دي انا هحاول ادخل شوية بالعربي. بس احنا بنتكلم في مدارس ناشونال، بنتكلم في مادة بالانجليش، فالمفروض معظم الكلام بيكون بالانجليش. وغير كده ان البيولوجي مادة مختلفة عن بقية الساينس سابجكتس، ان هي مادة سرد شوية، يعني فيها بنكتب وبنقول. فده محتاج ان احنا نشرح شوية بالانجليش، ومحتاج ان احنا نكون جمل كاملة على بعضها كده بالانجليش عشان تساعدكم في الحل. الثانوية العامة او النظام الثانوي الجديد مختلف شوية عن النظام القديم، انه ما بقاش فيه حتة ان انا احفظ او السؤال يجي دايركت واجاوب الاجابة على طول. لا، النظام الجديد قايم شوية على نظام الانترناشنال، اللي هو الاي جي سي اس اي، اللي هو خبرتي فيه بقالي 12 سنة فيه. اللي هو افهم، وبناء على ان انا فهمت بيجيلي السؤال واقدر اطلع الاجابة. عشان كده هنحاول ان احنا بقدر الامكان نبسط المعلومة، نحاول نوصل لو في تريكي بوينتس في اي جزء. لو عندكم اي سؤال، اي استفسار، اي نقطة مش مفهومة، انا تحت امركم، ممكن تديها لي في الكومنتس، وان شاء الله في الفيديو الجاي احاول اجاوب على كل الحاجات المطلوبة. بس المهم ان احنا نحاول نفهم اكتر من نحاول نحفظ، لان اللي انا شايفاه في النظام الجديد ان لا، قايمين على ان احنا نفهم وفاهمين جايه منين ورايحه فين. اتمنى ان شاء الله السيستم الجديد في الشرح يكون كويس. لو في اي كومنت، لو في اي تعليق، ان شاء الله اتمنى نشوفه عشان نعدل ونبقى ماشيين مع بعض بالطريقه اللي تريح الجميع ان شاء الله. درسنا النهارده الدرس الثاني هيتكلم عن الليبيدز. احنا اتكلمنا في الدرس الاول على الكربوهيدراتس، على اساس ان احنا بنتكلم على البيولوجيكال مولكيولز اللي موجوده في الليفينج اورجانيزمز. وقلنا biological molecules biological related to the living organisms. فبالتالي انا عندي، احنا قلنا احنا عندنا 4 compounds او 4 molecules اللي هم carbohydrates, lipids and protein, and the last one nucleic acid. Today النهارده هنتكلم على الليبيدز. وبما ان الليبيدز زي الكربوهيدرات زي البروتين زي النيوكليك اسيد، فهم تعرفهم ان هم biological molecules or macromolecules polymer. واظن ان احنا قلنا يعني ايه polymers في الدرس اللي فات. made up of small units، ساعات بنقول عليها sub units او small units اللي هي المونيمرز which called fatty acid. يبقى انا عندي في الكربوهيدرات السب يونتس monosaccharides، عندي في الليبيدز السب يونتس fatty acids. الاليمنتس اللي موجودة عندي في الليبيدز كربون، هيدروجين and oxygen. ايه البروبرتيز بتاعتنا؟ احنا فاكرين في الكربوهيدرات اتكلمنا في البروبرتيز، بس كان عشان عندنا different types of carbohydrates، فاحنا اتكلمنا على الكومبلكس ساكرايدز او والمونوساكرايدز او السمبل شوجر. لكن هنا احنا عندنا الفاتي اسيد او الليبيدز عامه. generally if we are trying to dissolve them in water, they never. Why? Because they are not water soluble. They are not water soluble. They need special solvents for dissolving, which are called fat solvents. ايه الفات solvents اللي عندنا ده؟ عندنا البنزين او كربون تتراكلورايد، ايثر وايثانول. دول examples of fat solvent. What is the molecular structure of the lipids? Each one lipid molecule formed of 3 fatty acids and 1 glycerol. What is glycerol? Glycerol is alcohol which has hydroxyl group. Hydroxyl group. We have one point، كلمة معروفة أو description للليبيد، بنقول الليبيدز are heterogeneous compounds. What do we mean by heterogeneous compound? Heterogeneous compound means that they are compounds present in 2 or more states. What do we mean by that? يعني أنا عندي الواتر for example، ممكن الواتر تكون واخدة فورم liquid أو واخدة فورم الجاز after evaporation، او واخده الفورم الثالث اللي هي الايس solid. فعندي different states للwater but all of them are water at the end, the same chemical structure. Here in lipids we have the same point. Heterogeneous means ان الليبيدز ممكن تكون موجوده في صوره يا اما oil liquid اللي هي الاويل او في صوره solid اللي هي الفات، عشان كده بنقول عليها heterogeneous. وطبعا قلنا الديفرنس بين الاويل والفات ان الاويل ليكويد في الروم تمبريتشر والفات سوليد في الروم تمبريتشر. لو رجعنا للمولكيولر ستراكشر قلنا ان كل واحد مولكيول من الليبيد formed of one molecule of glycerol plus 3 different fatty acids. So this is the structure of the lipid. What are the classification? The lipids are classified according to the chemical structure in 3 different types. The first one, simple lipid, which are divided into fat, oil and waxes. And then complex lipid, our example is phospholipid. What's phospholipid? Phospholipid is the layer of the cell membrane used for forming the cell membrane of the cells. The chemical structure or the component or the atomic component of the phospholipid, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen as the whole lipids plus phosphorus and nitrogen. The last one is the lipid derivatives. What's the lipid derivatives? As the hormone, steroidal hormone, as we'll explain later. Before that, I need to classify the fatty acids into saturated fatty acid and unsaturated fatty acid. What the difference between the saturated and unsaturated fatty acid? Saturated fatty acid means we have different carbon atoms, but the bonds, the covalent bonds in between carbon atoms are single. So because of that, they are solid at room temperature. The examples, mainly the lipids which are animal source, like the butter, like the cheese. All of these are saturated fatty acids. Unsaturated fatty acid, no. Between the carbon atoms, we have 2 or 3 covalent atoms or covalent bonds. So here between them we have 2 or 3 or more. So we have this, mainly these from plant source. Our example, nuts, seeds and vegetable oil. But we have one animal source or some animal source in unsaturated fatty acids, like the salmon oil. Which one is better? By the way, saturated and unsaturated fatty acids are needed in our meal, but the proportion or the percentage in the meal is different. Here we need very low proportion from the saturated fatty acid, but unsaturated fatty acid should be more. Why? Because here in saturated fatty acid, it's better in the diet more than the saturated. Unsaturated better than saturated. They are benefit. They have the good cholesterol, which is important for our health. So here again we'll go back to the simple lipids. We have, as I told you, fat, oils and waxes. Fat, so these simple lipids reaction between fatty acids and alcohol. So according to the saturation and the type of alcohol, they can be classified into fat, oil and waxes. So here we have simple sugar, simple lipids, classified according to saturation and type of alcohol into what? Into fat, oil, and waxes. So what are the difference? What are the difference of each one? First, fat. Fat they are generally زي ما احنا عارفين ان الفات they are solid at room temperature, but oil are liquid at room temperature. Waxes they are solid or hard substances at room temperature. What's the difference? Here I have alcohol, which is called glycerol, plus saturated fatty acid. So here the fatty acid is saturated, but in the oil, glycerol plus unsaturated fatty acid. Unsaturated fatty acid. Waxes formed of the reaction of high molecular weight fatty acids plus monohydric alcohol. Monohydric alcohol. If we take the examples, fat is the fat which we have a layer under our skin. This layer acts as insulator. تحت جلد في جسمنا في layer of fat. اللاير دي act as insulator. طبقة عازلة. Insulator ليه؟ During the low temperature, during winter, the surrounding temperature lesser than our body temperature. For example, the temperature around us 10 degrees, but our body temperature is 37 degrees. So generally the heat moves from high to low. So normally or naturally the heat will move from our body, which is higher than the surrounding, to the surrounding. To prevent this, we have a layer of fat under our skin which acts as insulator to prevent this. So your body temperature kept as it is, kept constant. So for the polar bear, as you know, they have a big layer of fat under the skin. Why? The degrees around in the surrounding around the polar bear is very low. So to prevent this heat of the body of the polar bear to transfer from the body to outside, so they have this layer of adipose tissue under the skin to prevent the loss of the heat. So they kept their body temperature constant. In case of oil, we have in some birds, especially the water birds. The birds, they act in the water, they get or they take their food from the water. So they handling with the water. So if they don't have the layer on their feather of oil in this case act as insulator to prevent the water to get in their body. So without this layer, the water will get inside their body, and this is very harmful, by the way, for the living organism. So in their feather, they have a layer of oil to prevent the entrance of water inside their bodies. Waxes. The waxes which we are talking about in the living organism, we are talking about the biological waxes in the leaves, especially these plants in the desert plants. We have very dry condition, so the availability of the water is very less. So the water absorbed from the soil cannot be replaced easily because there is no water, more water, because the condition is dry. Plus we have high temperature in these conditions, in the desert condition. So high temperature leading to evaporation of water. Plus we don't have water in the soil to replace the water which will be evaporated. To prevent this evaporation of water, to prevent the evaporation of water from the leaf, so we cover the upper layer of the leaf with a waxy layer, which acts as waterproof. So it reduces the water loss. Second, we have the complex lipid. Complex lipid, as I told you, the example is phospholipid, and phospholipid most important component of the cell membrane of the cells. As I told you, the elements carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and the other lipids, but here we have phosphorus and we have nitrogen. What is the molecular structure of the phospholipid? They are similar to the structure of the fat or the lipid, as you see, but here in the third fatty acid it's replaced by phosphorus or phosphate group and choline group. The chemical structure of these groups is not important for your syllabus. مش مهم ان احنا نعرف ايه الستراكشر chemical structure بتاع الفوسفات جروب والكولين جروب، بس you should know that we have only 2 fatty acids and the third one is replaced with these 2 groups, phosphate and choline group. So what is the component of the complex lipid? What is the component of complex lipid? 2 fatty acids, 1 molecule of cholesterol, phosphate group and choline group. I hope it's clear now. Last one, lipid derivatives. Lipid derivatives, they are derived from both simple and complex lipid by hydrolysis. What is hydrolysis? It's a chemical reaction by the water. Adding the water break down these structure or this chemical structure. What are the examples? We have cholesterol. This is the first one. Second one, some hormones as steroids. The steroids hormones. Last point and the most important point, the practical one. In case of carbohydrates, في الكربوهيدرات قلنا we have reagent which used for detection of the presence of sugar, which is Benedict. Here for the fat we have our reagent. What the name of the reagent? We have sodium for stain and its natural color is red. Again we'll get 4 test tube as you see, and test tube 1, 2, 3 and 4. In the first one we have peanut seeds which contains fat. We have potato solution, no fat but it has carbohydrates. Bean seed, we have distilled water. And again distilled water is called control experiment. Please ناخد بالنا من الاجزاء دي يا جماعه، لان ده النظام اللي بيسال عليه في الاي جي، وبما انه بيسال عليه في الاي جي فبالتالي وارد جدا ان هو يسال في السيلبس او في النظام الجديد. distilled water، انا استخدمت water ليه؟ I don't have any components in the water, right? Some elements, 2 hydrogen atoms plus oxygen. لكن انا باخد الواتر which called control experiment. طب انا عايزه control experiment ليه؟ الكنترول experiment انا بحتاجها عشان اعمل comparing، يعني عايزه اشوف الفرق بين البوزيتيف والنيجاتيف. بجيب حاجه انا متاكده انها هتديني النيجاتيف ريزلت، زي الواتر. بجيب الواتر واقارن بينها وبين ال3 تيست تيوب التانيين. اللي بيبقى زي الواتر ما فيهوش السبستانس اللي انا بعمل ديتكشن عليها. يعني في الحاله اللي احنا فيها دلوقتي احنا بنسال على الفات، انا متاكده ان مفيش فيه فات في الواتر، فلما هحط الرياجنت بتاعي اللي هو الصوديوم فور ستين هيديني ريد كولر، فانا عارفه ان ده شكل النيجاتيف. فلما اجي اقارنه مع التست تيوب الباقيين يبقى المختلفة عن الووتر هي البوزيتيف، واللي زي الووتر هي النيجاتيف، لان انا متأكدة بنسبة 100% ان الووتر نيجاتيف. اتمنى تكون كلير ناو لما انا شرحتها بالعربي. يعني انا دي متأكدة ان هي هتبقى نيجاتيف، فبالتالي اقارن بينها وبين دي ودي ودي. اللي هيبقوا زيها هيبقوا نيجاتيف زيها، اللي هيبقى مختلف عنها هو ده البوزيتيف، وهنشوفه دلوقتي في الصور. بعد ما نجيب الكونتنت بتاعنا، السوليوشن بتاع كل واحده من دولت، هحط عليهم 2 مللي of sodium for stain for each tube and check the results. ده البوزيتيف ريزلت، ده البوزيتيف ريزلت، ده النيجاتيف. وده اللي انا هشوفه في الميه، هشوفه with water، هشوفه مع البين سيد، وهشوفه مع البوتيتو سيد او البوتيتو سوليوشن، نفس الحكايه. لكن انا عندي in case of fat، لان الفات عباره عن droplets، هتاخد الصودن او الرياجنت بتاعي وتكون لاير فوق. فالشكل ده والشكل ده هم دول البوزيتيف، دولت هم البوزيتيف بتاعي، وده النيجاتيف بتاعي. Is it clear? So what is the positive? Oily droplets، زي ما شفنا oily droplets formed on the surface of solution. ده البوزيتيف. ما عدا ذلك مفيش، لا السوليوشن كله ريد لان انا حطيت ستين لونها ريد، فكله هيبقى نيجاتيف. What is the importance of lipids? Importance of lipids, we have different importance. انا اختصرتها لان انا بحب الاختصارات عشان ما ننساش، اختصرتها لتوب هوب. وطبعا غيرت السيكونس بتاع الامبورتنس عشان نكون الكلمه دي توب هوب. ايه التي؟ التي represents thermal insulator, and I explained what do we mean by thermal insulator. Thermal insulator to prevent the loss of the heat from the living organism body to the surrounding. زي ما قلت تاني وبعيد تاني ان احنا عندنا الهيت moves from higher to low. لو احنا درجة حرارتنا for example our body temperature 37 with surrounding 5 degrees, لازم naturally to move from our body to the surrounding. To prevent this, we should have a layer under our skin which formed of fat, act as insulator. So this is T. Obtaining energy. The fat is the most important source for energy. بس أنا عايزة أقول نقطة هنا. إحنا عندنا biological molecules في جسمنا، carbohydrates, fat, protein, ونوكليك acid. البروتين الكربوهيدرات present، يبقى this is the most important, this is the only source of energy from our body, the carbohydrates first. If carbohydrates used up completely, so the body will get its energy from the fat. And by the way, the energy obtained from the fat higher than the energy obtained by carbohydrate, but gaining the energy from carbohydrate faster than the fat. Is it clear? Hope so. So we have up, which is obtaining energy. B, building cells. As I told you, we have phospholipids. Phospholipids forming the cell membrane of the plant and animal cell. Hormones, we said derivatives, lipid derivatives, hormones, steroidal hormones, like steroidal hormones or steroids. And the last one, protective cover, P, protective cover. This, as I told you, as explained in details, in case of the plants, desert plants especially. أعيد تاني، أقول تاني وحاولها بالعربي يمكن تكون كلير للكل. إن إحنا عندنا في الديزرت الكونديشن بتبقى high temperature و less water. فلو high temperature يبقى الواتر هت-evaporate من الليف. If the water evaporate, should be replaced with water from the soil, but we don't have enough water in the soil. فبالتالي to protect the evaporation of the water In this high condition, we cover the leaf with a layer of wax, which called the cuticle, by the way. It's not important to know it, which is called the cuticle. Waxy layer, which act as waterproof to prevent the evaporation of water and loss of water. Thanks for watching, and if you have any question, if you want to clarify any points, please feel free and write in your comments.